Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. As part of sensory function of the nervous system, we look at generation of pain after tissue injury. The question we want to answer is, how are the pain signals generated? Why are we interested? Because for pharmacy students, you realize that one of the medicines you are going to um, uh, dispense to patients, even in the hospitals, the most prescribed medication is a medication for pain, like paracetamol. So we want to understand how are the pain signals generated. That will help in deciding, for example, when you are responding to pain as a symptom, how the medicine should be prescribed anyway. So this will be the basis on which pain management will be discussed in your second year or third year. So let's get into some definitions. So like I mentioned in the previous lecture, pain is a more or less localized sensation that is really discomforting, it's nothing pleasant, it is stressful, agony, resulting from stimulation of pain receptors. Mostly these pain receptors are free nerve endings. We've discussed what it means, free nerve ending. Then pain also is very, very important to the body. That is why sometimes we teach, most times, that before the pain is managed, before you eradicate the pain, you need to be able to understand what is causing the pain. Otherwise, you may actually lose the pain that is giving a signal of what could be wrong in the body. So pain serves as a protective mechanism in as far as it helps to induce the sufferer to remove or withdraw from the source of the pain. That is very, very important. There are different types of pain depending on who is defining, and we can actually go through some of these. One of the definitions of pain is the types of pain. There is what is called central pain, and it's as a result of pain affecting the different parts of the central nervous system. The neurogenic pain or neuropathic pain, this is pain resulting from injury of nerve tissue. And so mostly this kind of pain is very, very severe because the actual structures that transmit or conduct impulses, they are the ones that are affected. Then there is a type of pain called referred pain. Referred, you can imagine if somebody is referred to somewhere or something is referred to some place, it means that where the tissue injury is occurring, that is not where you are feeling the pain, but the pain is felt somewhere else. So pain is felt in a part other than that which is the cause that produced that pain, or where the stimulus that is producing the pain is situated. So for example, someone is having testicular problems, but the pain is felt in the abdomen, and so someone will come to the pharmacy and start telling you that they're having abdominal pains. So for a male, you have to ask a lot of questions that can rule out the possibility of that being referred pain. Sometimes it is chest pains that are felt in the neck. So someone tells you, I'm having shoulder pains, but it is the heart that is receiving less blood, and so someone is having, for example, angina pains. So instead of feeling chest pains, they start feeling neck pain. But the neck is not the problem. The problem is in the chest, but the pain is referred to the neck. There's a bit of mechanism on how referred pain is produced. One of the theories behind this is called convergence theory, where it is understood or postulated that the internal organ and the internal organ and closer to the external tissues or the muscles are innervated. The nerve that are innervating or connecting the internal organs as well as the muscles, they connect at the same site, such that this projection neuron that stimulates now the sense areas in the brain is unable to pick where this is coming from. So usually to be directed to the external or the skeletal muscles. For example, instead of interpreting that this pain is coming from the heart, to be interpreted that is coming from the neck, because the neck muscles and the heart muscles could be having the same convergence on the projection neuron. We continue with types of pain. There is also what is called rest pain, the pain that tends to continue and be burning type of pain in the lower legs or foot, beginning or worsening after reclining or being relieved by sitting or standing. Usually, this kind of pain is as a result of poor blood supply to certain tissues. Then we also have what is called somatic pain. This generally is localized pain that results from activation of peripheral nociceptors or pain receptors, not in the central nervous system, but peripheral, meaning outside the central nervous system, without injury to the peripheral nerve or central nervous system. Then visceral pain is pain resulting from injury or potential tissue injury for the internal organs. Then there is this, I think this is the most physiological classification of pain, fast or slow pain. We've talked about this, and pain is sometimes classified as fast or slow as a result of the type of nerve fiber that transmits that type of pain. So fast pain is pain that is transmitted by type A delta pain fibers, and the slow pain is transmitted by type C fibers, which are the small ones, and so they transmit slowly. Acute versus chronic pain. Now, here, it is very tempting to consider that acute is pain that is produced within a short period of time, and chronic pain is pain that persists for a longer period of time. But physiologically, someone can ask you a question. So what is a short time and what is a longer time? What would be your answer? Physiologically, the most objective way to classify acute or chronic pain is that acute pain is the pain that will not persist after the injury that caused it is resolved. So that becomes acute pain. And if that pain continues even after removing the stimulus that caused the injury, then that becomes chronic pain. And in that sense, then the chronic pain becomes a disease, and so it is called pathologic pain as well, while acute pain becomes physiologic pain. Why? Because its intention is just to help the body, help the organism to realize there is a signal for injury, and so something needs to be done about it. Nociception is the ability to feel pain and interpret that caused by stimulation of pain receptors. This is also called pain sensing or analgesia. Therefore, the management of pain is called analgesia. Anal meaning zero. So like if we are removing pain, then we'll say analgesia. Analgesia means there is existence of pain. Okay. Quickly, we move to just a bit more concepts about pain. So a receptor for pain caused by injury to the body tissues is called nociceptor or pain receptor. So the injury may be from a physical stimulus, or it can be a chemical stimulus, it can be temperature, it can be chemical changes. All these things, as they pose a potential tissue injury or they cause tissue injury, they can produce pain signals, and these will be conducted by the spinal thalamic pathway, if you remember, and the brain will be irritated and you become aware. We've talked about the different types of nerve fibers that transmit this signal of pain. So we have the fast transmitting fibers, also called myelinated type A delta fibers. Then we also have the slow transmitting type C fibers, okay, the smaller ones. But also to mention is that changes in temperature can also stimulate pain. That's why you find that it's been discovered that the cold receptors are associated with the fast conducting fibers, and the warm receptors associated with the slow conducting fibers. Here we want to illustrate how pain signals are generated from tissue injury. So if you consider a nail, a sharp object that injures the skin, the first thing that will happen is that some cells will be broken, and what will be released is one of the electrolytes, potassium. If you remember, potassium is the most important or abundant electrolyte inside cells. So the potassium increases the sensitivity of potassium reduces the resting membrane potential for surrounding cells. Now, some of the surrounding cells are free nerve endings, which work as pain receptors. So potassium will be the first stimulant for pain signals. But also what you notice that in the surrounding tissues here, we've got serotonin that is released from platelets as well, and this serotonin is also going to stimulate the free nerve endings. So when the free nerve endings are stimulated by potassium and serotonin, these free nerve endings, they also release through what is called axonal reflex. They will release substance P as well as calcitonin gene-related peptides. So CGRP is calcitonin gene-related peptide. So these two, they will stimulate local connective tissue cells called mast cells to release their contents. What mast cells contain is a substance you already know called histamine. Histamine will cause the blood vessels to dilate more, and so there will be congestion of blood here, and there will be swelling. Okay, so you begin to have swelling where there is injury there. One of the things is that the swelling also presses mechanically on the free nerve endings and stimulates them more. And also the histamine also stimulates the free nerve endings. Usually the stimulation of histamine is very, very minimal. That is why histamine causes itching during allergies instead of pain. Itching is just low pain signals. So what we are seeing is that we are having histamine, we are having calcitonin gene-related peptide, we are having substance P, potassium, as well as serotonin. Now, one of the things also that happens with injury is that there is an activation of an enzyme called phospholipase A2, which converts the membrane phospholipids into arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid that is converted by cyclooxygenase enzyme into so many compounds, including prostaglandins. So the prostaglandins here and the bradykinin will also increase further stimulation of the free nerve endings. So all these stimulating the free nerve endings will cause impulses in the first order neuron that will increase transmission of pain signals to the central nervous system. So this is how pain signals are generated after tissue injury. So kinins, histamine, all these chemicals are considered pain mediators. Also quickly, what you need to be able to know is that we have a pain breaking or pain relieving pathway normally in the body, such that the first neuron and the second one, where there is synapse, there is a neuron that tends to release what are called endo-opioids, okay, or opioid peptides that are released to suppress the release of neurotransmitters in this synapse, and also to suppress further transmission in the projection pathway. So basically that's what you see as our main pathway for management of pain. So we take advantage of this pathway even in the production of drugs that should be used as pain relievers or analgesics. This is where we